Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video of Kiwi Investments. Most people don't like to take on risk when it comes to investing. And I get that because that's your hard-earned cash after all. So what most people do is they play it safe. They keep their money in a bank in a savings account. Or maybe they open a fixed-term deposit with their bank. You might have been able to earn a decent return by compounding interest a few years ago, but things have changed and unfortunately this is no longer the case. Most people are unaware of these changes and how it is affecting them. And what has changed is the interest rates. Have a look at this. At the time of making this video, the official cash rate, which is what your bank's interest rates are based out of, in June 2008, it was at 8.25. And since then, it has slowly been declining and now it is currently at 0.25. Almost zero. So what that means is that as it gets cheaper to borrow money, the money that you keep in your bank account earns you less. With the official cash rate at 0.25, you would be earning almost nothing. Now, why would the Reserve Bank set this so low? The interest rates are set low to make it easier to borrow money, and it helps stimulate spending, which helps the economy. And because of the global slowdown of the economy, this is happening all around the world. This graph shows the interest rates in America, and as you can see, it is almost at zero as well. Back to New Zealand. As of making this video, these are the interest rates you get from standard savings accounts in New Zealand banks. So both ANZ and ASB are around 0.05%. Rabobank and Kiwi Bank seems to have the highest interest rates, but the Heartland Bank direct call account seems to have the best interest rate when taking into consideration the flexibility. Other savings account with higher interest rates, you would have to give a crazy amount of notice if you want to take your money out. But anyways, the point of this video is to show you how to beat the interest rates you get from any of these banks. When you keep your money in a savings account or a fixed-term deposit, your bank lends that money to someone who needs it and charges an interest. And the bank shares a very little bit of that interest with you. Now you can beat these interest rates by lending the money yourself. And that can be done through peer-to-peer lending platforms. Now this is where I'm going to start my review of Squirrel Money. If you're watching from a country other than New Zealand, I suggest looking into peer-to-peer platforms in your own country. But I suggest you look deeper into the company which provides that platform, because not every platform is created equally. So anyways, what is peer-to-peer lending? Peer-to-peer lending is when people with money lend it to people who wants to borrow it for whatever reason. It could be for personal loan, home loan, car loan, debt consolidation loan, or whatever. And the interest rate the person receiving the money gets charged is supposed to be better than the interest rates charged by the banks. And it is. Just have a look at this. At the time of making this video, personal loans from ANZ, the standard interest rate is 12.9%, and from ASB, it is from 12.95%. At Squirrel Money, personal loans start from just 7.95%. And investors benefit from this because they too get a better interest rate from what they would get from locking their money in a term deposit at a regular bank. Right now, investors can expect a return on investment of about 4 to 7.5% per annum. Right now, there is no fixed-term deposit that you can get from banks which will beat that rate. So that kind of shows you how much banks make. And as usual in my review videos, I will go over what I like about Squirrel Money and what I don't like about it. And the main reason why I like Squirrel Money is because of something unique they have called the Reserve Fund, used to be called the Loan Shield. The Reserve Fund is a fund that is set aside just in case if the person who borrows the money doesn't pay you back what they were supposed to. And this is amazing and very unique. I don't think any other peer-to-peer platforms does that. So if a borrower who takes up your money misses a scheduled payment, the Reserve Fund automatically and immediately kicks in and pays you back the expected payment, both the principal and the interest. If a borrower defaults on a loan, so that means if the borrower stops paying back the loan completely, you as an investor would have no idea because the Reserve Fund would automatically kick in and pay you back everything you were expecting. Any debt collection fee or legal fees involved in getting money back from the borrower is taken care of by Squirrel Money. And whatever money they manage to get back from the default borrower is used to top up the Reserve Fund which paid you and you didn't even know. Now in the unlikely event that all money in the Reserve Fund gets wiped out, Squirrel Money has the right to divert all interest payments from borrowers to the Reserve Fund to top it back up. So you might lose some interest that way, but Squirrel Money will notify you if that were to ever happen. But I have been keeping a close eye on the Reserve Fund during the COVID pandemic and I can tell you it did not even come close to having to do that. So it's good that this platform has been tested through hard times and they came out of the other end with good results. So that increases my confidence even more to invest with this platform. Now let's move on to the second point on how they keep your investments safe. And that is done through writing quality loans. In an interview with one of their representatives, they told me that they keep improving on identifying and rejecting loans that are just too risky for investors, which is you. And I actually got a chance to test this out instead of taking their word for it. One of my friends wanted to get a debt consolidation loan, which I personally thought she couldn't afford to get. But nonetheless, she wanted to apply for one with Squirrel Money because the amount of money that she owed to banks and other financial institutions was getting out of control. And guys, listen, I know everyone's situation is different, but you should always aim to never borrow money because you're going to end up paying more for whatever it is that you wanted. It is important to keep putting money aside every time you get paid, so that when you do need money for something, you can pay for it instead of financing it. Because if you finance it, you're going to end up paying more for it. But anyways, back to my friend's story. She applied for a loan which I thought she couldn't afford to get, and Squirrel Money did decline her. So this is good news for investors watching this, because it proves that Squirrel Money takes the quality of their loans seriously and they won't just lend to anyone who just asks for it. This is basically how the 2008 crash happened. Now, even if Squirrel Money does do good checks, you're still gonna have some borrowers that default on their loan for whatever reason. But you still don't have to worry about that because the reserve fund which they have set up will pay you back in that situation, which is great. Okay, now on to things that I don't like about Squirrel Money. And honestly, there isn't much. I've been with Squirrel Money since 2019, and my biggest complaint at that time was, and this was something that was driving me mad, it was the amount of time it took for Squirrel Money to invest your money. And this was happening because of the way Squirrel Money was initially set up. Have a look at this. When you want to invest, you click on Place Investment Order. And as you can see, in the Waiting for Funds section, it was always zero, regardless of how long you were willing to lock up your money. When you wanted to invest, you go down and type in how much you wanted to invest. Let's put $10,000. Then you choose what interest rate you want to give your money at. Now, this is where they were messing up. If you would have picked the middle, there would have been $323,265 worth of loans that were lower than yours. So, of course, no one would pick up your money for a higher interest rate when they can get other investors' money at a lower rate. Similar story if you would have changed the duration of the loan. And if you picked the lowest interest rate, I still would have had to wait until $214,547 worth of loans before mine gets taken up. But since then, they have changed. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because I like companies that grow and change for the better. Change is one of the most challenging things a company can do. And when it is done right, it shows a lot about the company. For example, Sharesies is a DIY trading platform which most viewers of this channel know and love. But what most viewers wouldn't know is that when Sharesies first started out, it used to look like this. There was less than 15 funds for you to choose from and invest in. And even when you do that, orders were only processed once a day, and it would take up to 5 working days for that fund to show up in your portfolio. This would look very alien for new investors of this channel, because now you can invest in way more than 15 funds. You can invest in individual companies in New Zealand and over in America, and orders are processed every 20 minutes or less. And much like how Sharesies has improved, Squirrel Money has improved in their own field. And because of that, I continue to expect great things from these two companies. Okay, now back to Squirrel Money. And this is what Squirrel Money looks like now. Once you have gone through the sign-up process, you will land on this page. And as you can see, the new version of Squirrel Money usually has loans that are awaiting funding. And when you want to invest, you just come down and click Place Investment Order. But we'll come back to that and I'll take you through that process to see what that looks like. But first, let's go through these tabs over here. So under Investments, you have how much is currently invested, how much you have in your call account, and how many loans you have invested in. And if you come down a bit, it gives you more details of your investments. So for the current financial year, I have made $98.94 and I have paid $17.05 in taxes. So my net income has been $81.89, which is an average of 6.87% return. Now, some of my regular viewers of this channel might be thinking that you can get a much bigger return from the stock market. And yes, you absolutely can. But it is important to diversify your income, and the idea behind this video is to beat the returns you get from banks without having to pick stocks and mentally deal with the stock market volatility. Anyways, let's keep moving on. And you can use the drop down menu here to compare how much you have made in comparison to previous years or from the very startup date. So if you go with that, let it load and then come down a bit. So since the day I have signed up with Squirrel, I have made $209 and I have paid $36.29 in taxes, which gives me a net profit of $172.74. And that is an average 6.77% return on my investment. And if you go down further, you can break down your investments even further. So right now I have 4 active investments with 2 that have already been finished. So if you expand it, you can see that this investment is repaid and there's no more balance owing to me. Come back up to my current investments and it clearly shows the length of your investment, your principal of your investment. Then you have the interest rate of your investment. And as you can see, they're all better than what you will get from the banks. Then you have a countdown remaining for your investments, the remaining balance, and when your next payment is scheduled to come. So if you expand on one of them, you get a little bit of more information about the loan, how frequently the payments are, repayment progress, and balance. It's not that useful if you ask me, but I think the only thing useful is the frequency. So you can set up your own automatic payment so that you can have money coming into your bank account consistently. More on that later as well. Now let's have a look at the on-call account. So again, on the on-call account page, you have the amount that's currently invested, your order placement, and how much is ready for you to invest. And if you come down, you have a transaction history of the interest that's getting paid to you. Now, what I want to show you is if you go all the way back to the very start, when I first signed up with Squirrel Money, I put down $10,000 into the platform and I made this deposit on the 28th of February 2019. And if you come back one page, this is what was very frustrating about Squirrel Money. I had $10,000 sitting in my Squirrel Money account, not doing anything. I was trying to invest it, but there was just too many investors and not enough people taking up the loans. So for 5 months, that $10,000 wasn't earning me anything. And guys, if you have that much money laying around, you should get it to start working for you. So that was what was frustrating. I kept it there for 5 months, and in the 1st of June, I said enough is enough. I can get my money working somewhere else. So I withdrew $6,000 from that initial $10,000. I gave it another week and I withdrew another $1,000. After a few more days, I withdrew another $1,000 and then finally $2,000 got invested. And then after that, I started earning interest. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back up here and deposit more money and bring this up to $10,000 to see how well the platform is performing now. So to deposit money, you just click on deposit. It will open this up and all you do is bank transfer to this ASB account and include your unique reference. And remember, the minimum investment you can make is $500. Now, when it comes to withdrawals, it's as easy as the deposits. Just click on withdrawal and you can select how much you want to withdraw and also the frequency. So this is where you can set up an automatic payment. As I showed earlier in the investment page, you can predict when you're about to get paid and how much you're about to get paid. So you can set up an automatic payment either weekly, fortnightly, or monthly and have money coming into your bank account consistently. But you may want to keep checking your call account balance because sometimes you can get early repayments. Speaking of early repayments, since borrowers are allowed to make early repayments without any fees, the net interest you think you're going to get might be less. When it comes to term deposits with banks, you can easily calculate what you're going to end up with when the term comes to an end. However, with Squirrel Money, because the borrower might pay back the principal earlier than expected, you might end up with a little less interest than expected. But one good thing that they started doing is that every Monday, they email you with early repayments made and how much is in your call account. I suggest you don't keep much sitting in your call account and invest it as soon as you can so that the money can start earning you more money. Anyways, back to Squirrel Money. As for now, I'm going to put some more money in to bring this up to $10,000 and we'll see what investing looks like through Squirrel Money. Okay, so I just deposited $8,157 and that brings my grand total on my call account to $10,000. And if you come up here, you'll be able to see I have $10,000 available to invest. Now to invest this money, you can come up here and click on place investment order, or you can go to orders tab and go through there. So we'll go through there for this video. So if you come to the orders tab, then you'll get a preview of what kind of loans are available for you to invest in. So if you use this drop down tab here, you can check out personal home loans. You can see that there are $233,379 worth of loans that you can invest in. And if you change that to business property loans, there's more. So there are $437,917 worth of business property loans you can invest in. So let's go ahead and invest our $10,000. Come down here and click on place order. Now this is how you use the new version of Squirrel Money. You can choose where to put your money. You can choose from home loans, business property loans, and personal loans. And for each category, if you want to call it, you will get a different interest rate. So home loans are usually the lowest because they are relatively more safer. Then you have business property loan right now around 5%. And then you have personal loans, which are generally more risky, and that's around 6 to 7.5%. Now each category has a different reserve fund, as I mentioned before. And if you think that personal loans are too risky and you want to know how much is in the reserve fund, then you can come to the Squirrel Money investment page, which is just squirrel.co.nz/invest. And it shows the current market interest rates. And if you keep going down, you have the current reserve fund balance for each category. So for business property loan, there's $127,000 in the reserve fund. For home loans, there's $100,000 in the reserve fund. And for personal loans, there's $589,951 ready to pay you out in the reserve fund, just in case if anything goes wrong. And if you want a more breakdown into this, you can keep going down. You get more detail. So for personal loans, there are 14.3 million active loans right now. And as we saw earlier, there's $589,951 in the reserve fund. And the expected borrower default rate is 1.05%. But they are keeping about 1.36% more in the reserve fund just in case if things go worse than expected. Alright, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing here. I think my money is going to be safe. So I'm going to invest half of my money into personal loans. So if we come back to our investment page, what I'm going to do is split my $10,000 and put half on personal loans and put the other half on business property loans. So let's go ahead and do that to see what that looks like. Go select personal loans and look at that. Unfortunately, if we put our $5,000 into personal loan, it will not get invested because currently no one is waiting funding. So my money would just be sitting here, not earning me any interest. And not only that, if you look one below it, if I were to put my $5,000 here, there's going to be $612,000 ahead of me. So those will get invested first before me. I will just be waiting on queue with my $5,000. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to come back and pick a different investment class. So I will go with business property loan. And as you can see, there are people waiting for funding. There is $3,000 ahead of me. So that money will get invested before me. But nonetheless, there's still $437,000 waiting to be invested. And it shows the duration of the loan. So it can be up to 2 years. And the interest rate is around 5%. So let's go ahead and invest our $5,000. And if you come down a bit, there are some things that you can read over if you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and put $5,000. Go one off, come down a bit, hit go. And it will bring you back to this page. And if you go down, you see your investment order. So right now our money is in queue and there's $4,700 in front of us, and you can cancel at any time before your money is taken up. If your money is taken up and you still want your money back, you can sell your investment in the secondary market, but we'll get back to that later. Right now, let's go ahead and invest the remaining $5,000. Place another investment order and let's go with home loans. And look, this may be much more quicker. There's $233,000 that is waiting funding. There's no money ahead of us, so we may be the first one in queue, but the interest rate is much lower and it's a longer term as well. But that's fine by me. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the $5,000 here and hit go. And that's it. It's that simple. Oh, and by the way, some of you may have noticed that this seems to not go away. It's been here for years now, ever since I signed up. I think it's a glitch that they're probably not aware of. Take a couple of minutes apparently, but it's been years. Anyway, so if you come back down, you will see our 2 investment orders. I should get an email notification once this investment gets taken up, and I will log back in once that is completed to go through more of the platform. See you then. Alright guys, it's been a few hours now and I have logged back in, and it seems like the money has been taken up by a borrower. And as you can see, we now have 6 active investments with a grand total of $10,877. And if we go down, you can expand on your investments to get more details. So now I am expecting monthly payments to come from Squirrel Money. And one other thing that I should point out, if you do want to withdraw your money earlier than what you agreed to, then you can sell your investment on the secondary market. But when you sell your investments, you have to wait until another investor takes up your loan that you no longer want. And there's a fee of 1% involved as well, with a maximum of $50 per investment sold. Before I go, I want to say a huge thanks to everyone that has subscribed to my channel, liked my videos, and commented on my videos. Thank you guys. You guys are the reason why I keep doing videos. I also want to give a special shout out to Lauren and Roselle. And also, I like getting free stuff. So I want to say a thanks to Junior who sent me this free shirt. And also a shout out to Steak who sent me this pointless keychain. It's completely useless and I don't know why they sent it. But they sent it because I was a founding member of the Stake platform when they first came to New Zealand. So it's a bit pointless, but thank you anyway. And if you want to sign up to Stake, use the third link in the description. And if you use that link to sign up and fund your account, Stake will give you a free stock. If you like free stuff like I do, again, thanks to Junior, there are some other referral links in the description as well. Until the next video, see you then.